I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, welcome everybody. Make sure board members, that your mics are on so everyone can hear you. Start off by taking roll call. Mr. Trent is not with us tonight, but he might be here shortly. Is that what I hear? All right. When coming to the approval of the agenda, there are on item 7C, we are going to delete that tonight, the zoning ordinances, to be updated. We had a meeting last night with our legal team on going over them again, and they brought some issues up that they're putting in writing and going to just present it, give it to the planning commission. Nothing major, but before the board approves them, considers the zoning updated ordinances, we feel we should wait till the November meeting to discuss and pass the ordinances. So we'd like to strike out as a 7C. Okay, any other on the agenda, any questions about it? Okay. Okay, as we go on to the agenda, some of the items, before we start, a couple of things I'd like to mention about coming up here pretty soon. And most of you know that history of our Halloween parties for the kids in the township. The fire department has put that on historically. Last year they combined it with Salem Elementary School. With talking with a lot of the people in the school, the principals and people involved, it seems like the fire department and the school working together in our town here to have a Halloween party. They're working together. So I think as a community it's great to support our elementary school in Salem along with the fire department. That's October the 25th, be 6 to 9. They need volunteers, they need help, donations, and a lot of the businesses are helping donate to have our community with the kids having a Halloween party for the elementary school and also for the kids in the community. So between the fire department and the school, we want to encourage them and support them, and any of those that are here tonight that would love to volunteer or help, they sure would encourage you to do that. All right, there's no presentations tonight, and now we'll come down to public comment. Yes?
Yes, Gary. I got a question.
Come on up, bud.
Pardon?
Come up to the microphone so everybody can hear you.
My name's Bud Sells. I live between 7 and 8 Mile Road on Chubb Road. And it's been lately, traffic has been horrendous. The speed limit on that road. There's a couple stables on that road. I spotted a couple of girls riding horses the other day. They had to get off the road and ride in somebody's lawn because the cars were going just too fast. They just don't care. My question is, do we have to get a petition to get speed limits on that road? I know it's supposed to be 55 on country roads, but since it's supposed to be residential and farmland, is there something, ordinance or something we can do, get something put up to slow the traffic down? Since they put that subdivision on 10 Mile and Chubb, seems like we're getting a lot of traffic, plus the construction on 8 Mile again. So outrageous amount of traffic coming down that road. They don't seem to really care about the public or the people that live in that area. So what can we do to curtail this?
I think we've had a little bit of discussion before.
Right,
but,
in the past. Scott first.
most of our, a lot of it is handled by the road commission. They own the roads, they kind of dictate what the road speeds are.
Okay.
We've had a lot of issues about 8 Mile Road from Northville Crossings. It's been an ongoing thing. I agree with you. I think because of the extra deputies we have here, it's something that, if you keep contact with us or with me to let me know when you're seeing it, it's different times of the day, maybe they can.
It's rush hour traffic, and it's, when they go to work and when they come off of work, they just, you can't walk across the road, you can't walk along the road anymore. Is there something, is there something we can do from the township point or Washington County Road Commission point, get signs put up?
It is the road commission's,
So what do we do?
We've talked to them, they know about the problems, they know about all of our roads, even, Brookville, you can talk, the speeding just continues to go on in the township. I think everybody that lives
Well,
on
we're
our
frustrated.
roads here.
No, I'm telling you right now,
It's-
I've talked to about half a dozen neighbors, and we are frustrated with this. So what do we do? Get a petition going, hand it to you, so you can submit it to Washington County?
As I said, and a lot of other things with the road commission, there have been people, as far as the road work has been done, we've done a lot. A lot of people have done petitions as far as the road repairs, and, they've gone before them, and, they're the ones that make the decisions, so we can help. And
Okay.
we're willing to help.
Okay, so what's the procedure on this?
If you want to get petitions, I'll be glad to give it to them up there.
Okay, great, all right, thank you.
Okay.
Did you approve the agenda as submitted?
We do not have, first of all, I had to set the agenda, and the agenda, you can either approve the agenda or not approve the agenda. And as long as the board up here is comfortable with what's on the agenda, it is fine. If they have something opposed to it, then we can talk about it. Okay, what?
In reference to the traffic and the other, some sheriff's office have what they call a secondary road patrol, and it's an extra service that goes into place to tackle issues like this, and maybe contact the sheriff's office to see if they don't have something that they can't come down here and put a couple cars on there once in a while and monitor it, because it make them get religious.
Right. But we will. We'll, if it seems to be something that, that we can certainly let one of the deputies know, times a day or whatever you're seeing most of it, to be more aware of it.
All right, thanks, Gary.
All right. All right, anyone else? All right. If not, let's move on down to the consent agenda. Mr. Wenzel.
All right, before I make the motion to approve the consent agenda, I will start off by making an amendment to the minutes of the regular meeting of the Board of Trustees. That's page 2 of the minutes, item number 3. It's called the Community Development Building Coordinator position. The last paragraph. I am going to change that to say there was a suggestion made by Mr. Plato, the legal counsel, which was made into a motion by Gary Whitaker and then seconded by Mr. Converse. So I will change that. And then I will now make the motion. I move that Salem Township approve the following consent agenda. The amended minutes of the September 10th, 2013 regular meeting of the Board of Trustees. The disbursements for September 2013 include the general fund. The September check roster has $102,509.90. The checks go from $24,209 through $24,274. The escrow account has one check of $390. That's check 1530. We had a total payroll for the month of September of $43,957.51. This included the $177 to Paycor. And the sewer fund had $13,935.65. And these were checks 1903 through 1905. Now for the future invoices for October 2013, we have general fund of $61,294.73. We have the sewer fund for $6,672.17. And lastly, we have the escrow fund invoices of $4,529. And do we have a second for all these consent agenda motions?
Yes, I'll second.
John?
Mr. Clerk, just a clarification here on one of the check numbers under William Associates. I would like to delete that payment to that Williams and Associates. We could maybe strike that payment. This was for members, this was a payment that was made on the Four Tracks property I'm sorry, not the Four Tracks. This was the Fulkerson property that an appraisal was done. After reading the appraisal, there was indications that Mr. Fulkerson was on the property and asking him questions, and Mr. Fulkerson had passed away already in December, and they said that they were out there in July. So we have some problems with the appraisal that they have done. So I have questions. I've asked them to call. I haven't received their call yet. But I would like to pull that invoice and not pay till we get an explanation or reevaluate the appraisal of that property.
All right, so that is the $2,000 check out of the general fund that we will hold until such time that we get the problem straightened out.
All right. Now I think we can make.
Now we can, question.
Yeah, there was just one thing I thought needed a little clarification, which was section B, financial, number 1, the purchase of land conservation. Just where it said the vote to approve the outright purchase of development rights, the verbiage suggests that we were gonna be purchasing development rights, when I think the recommendation was to preserve the entirety of the Four Tracks property by entering into an agreement to allow development rights to be purchased by one or more preservation entities. I don't know. That's, it just suggested that we were trying to purchase development rights.
Purchase development rights, but isn't that what we are trying to accomplish? I mean, we can add more adjectives to,
Well, this was just the recommendation from land conservation was to preserve it by entering into an agreement to allow it to be purchased by another entity, the development rights. If there's just a way to just be more succinct, so.
could do that,
They were seeking to enter into an agreement
to purchase.
to allow the development rights to be purchased by another entity.
But isn't that just grouping
Right.
development rights, purchase of development rights? It means different things?
I am. Yeah, is there,
Yeah.
there's something to be some way of wording it where it didn't sound like the township, or that they were recommending that the township purchase development rights. I guess when I look at it, that's how I read it. There's another
How would
suggestion.
you like to say that? Actually,
Maybe just to sell, strike out approve.
what would be the best way to,
Or to allow the development rights to be purchased.
preservation entities, because I know there was gonna be more than just the Ann Arbor Greenbelt, there would be other ones that they would,
But the thing is, we don't want to constrict it so tight that if we don't want to use other entities, or if we do want to,
this is just the minutes though.
right.
I'm just talking, this is just the minutes of what was discussed.
Okay.
Mr. Supervisor, if I could make a suggestion. I think what the Land Preservation Board was, what they approved, my understanding of what they approved was that they were recommending to the board the purchase of the property with other governmental agencies assisting in that purchase by purchasing development rights.
No.
So I would need to, if you want me to, I could add other governmental agencies.
Assisting with the purchase by purchasing development rights.
All right. Could someone just write it out for me, because it,
I'm working it out.
because every time I do it, I think it's not coming out right, so.
See if this makes sense. This out? If you like that, you can read it out and then.
Assisting. Chicken scratch.
Because of like language is
What's this last word here?
Purchase. I'm sorry.
Assisting.
The property with assisting in the purchase by purchasing development.
By purchase.
Yeah, by purchase. Next time I'll write better.
All right, I think we have it all think we're all set here.
That hasn't been falling, so that's all. I'm getting too close.
Okay.
All right. B1, purchase of land conservation easement property, LBCD report. The LBCD board members, including the chairperson, Sue Region, and consultant Barry Lonick, summarized and discussed their recent unanimous vote to approve the purchase of the property with other governmental agencies assisting in the purchase by purchasing of development rights regarding the Four Tracks property. Is that good?
Yeah.
Okay.
So that change, and then also deleting the $2,000 for Williams and Associates.
That's right.
Second on that? Yep. Okay. Any other discussion on the consent agenda? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Consent agenda passed. Okay, we're gonna go down to business items. Nice to have Brian and Dima with us tonight to give us a presentation on DEQ, the SAW grant proposal that they have brought forth to the township and board members. Just to give you a little bit of background on this, in the hamlet, some people don't even know that we do have a sewer and a wastewater treatment plant off of Salem Road. There's all kinds of issues with that. There have been talk about a lot of repairs that are coming down the road that the township is going to incur. The whole idea as far as the funding of that as moving forward, every year, I believe, the sewer fund is in the red, what, $60,000 plus, continues to incur. The main reason is because the hamlet, of course, is not growing, and the way they had set it out as far as selling sewer taps down the road, which, you know, there's just nobody buying sewer taps in the hamlet that are available. Therefore, this deficit keeps running in the red. So we've been trying to figure out, you know, what is the best way down the road, figure out, you know, how this is going to be, all of us are going to be paying for this if we don't figure down the road what we can do. I have had some conversations with Northville Township about, and this is, people had talked about this, I think, years ago. The landfill does have a sewer hookup with Northville Township. And the question is there a possibility down the road, if there's capacity in their line, to take the small hamlet to maybe disband this sewer system? Or the wastewater treatment plant, get out of the business. We receive monthly statement bills for people to maintain this, and somebody monitors it constantly. So we're paying for that. And to see if it's not possible to hook up into the landfill lines. I've talked to the landfill and saying, hey, it'd be a great idea to take this over for the township since we have to have the landfill in our backyard. So, but coming back, so there's been them conversations, and the supervisor in Northville Township is also new, and he's wanting to help to see if they have the capacity. They might, you know, it would be great if they take it over. We don't have to do the billing. It would be a great opportunity for Salem to investigate that. So the grants monies that come up If I'm understanding it right, there would be availability for funds that the township was awarded them to do maybe project engineering or whatever it has to look at to see if this was to be shut down and run into Northville Township. So, and then there's other studies that need to be done and studies in the system, like what would it actually run to get it back into the black? I think it's very expensive. I mean, I think some people, if it was paid off what they owed, I think they're paying over $50 a month, which, and that's not water, that's just sewer in the hamlet. So anyway, that's what we're looking at. So I'd like to have them come on up and just, you can sit at that table over there, or you can stand, FEMA, whatever you want to do.
I'll stand her.
These are our township engineers, by the way, Stam Tech out of Ann Arbor, and it's been fun working with them. Okay.
Thank you, Mr. Supervisor. Good evening, everyone. We appreciate the chance to stand in front of you today and be invited to present on the SAW grant. Now, SAW stands for Stormwater, Asset Management, and Wastewater. There are multiple components of the grant. The grant just got signed into law on January 2nd, 2013, but the application was made public last Monday. So the application is fresh, it's on the street, and it's due on December 2nd. So just like any grant application, they show up really quickly and they kind of sunset quickly. I want to give you kind of an overview of what SAW is. I think Mr. Converse might know more than others. He attended a workshop on that. Anyone else is familiar with SAW? The grant funding allows any municipalities to go after up to $2 million. The first $1 million has 10% to match, requires the municipality to provide. The second $1 million is 25% match. The grant does not have a priority list, does not have any competitive ranking in it. It's first come, first serve. There's $450 million available through the state of Michigan to fund the SAW grant. Only 97 will be available for 2014, but whoever applies by December 2nd and after will be entered into a lottery if the request was for more than $97 million. Assuming that certain people do not get funded in 2014 with the $97 million, if they have applied by the December 2nd date, they would stand in line for the rest of the money that will trickle in the following 2 to 3 years. The grant covers multiple components, and I think I will mention the ones that might be of an interest to the township. Asset management programs for the sanitary sewer system, and design and planning for the sanitary sewer system for the wastewater system. The asset management program would allow any community to go through and get an inventory of what you have in the ground, what the age of it, what the condition assessment of it, map it using GIS, having more control over what you have by knowing what's in the ground and what the condition of it. Also, the pump stations, you would do a condition assessment on those. The wastewater treatment plant, you would do a condition assessment on those. Once you understand the conditions of the entire system, the asset management program requires the community to also prepare what's called a CIP, a capital improvement plan, because you identify your priorities, you identify your conditions of the system. That would also be covered by the grant. And last but not least, you would be required to do a rate study to evaluate what are your revenues today and your needs, and based on the asset management, what are your revenues and your needs. And then you would be kind of implementing grade changes and applying grade changes with more information in your hand, and you would know what you need within the next 5 to 10 years. All of that would be under one component, asset management. The grant also funds for communities that are less than 5,000 in population, up to $60,000 in software and hardware. So if the township decides they want to go after a GIS system, they want to have certain capabilities with the software, with the hardware, that allows you to do that as well. So that would be one component. The other component, and appreciate Supervisor and Mr. Trent talking to us about this, the possibility of a connection to Northville. That design would be covered, assuming there's capacity, assuming the legwork is done and Northville Township has the capacity and that is doable. We can look at a design that is covered under this grant. That would be to abandon the wastewater treatment plant, eliminate a water quality issue. That could be, that would be the need for MTEQ to support the project, and connect to a regional facility which would become eventually Wautuwa, the Western Township Communities Authority. So that's in a nutshell the grant. The only thing is that time is of an essence with every grant, and we are here today. It's October, what today? 8th. So yesterday the grant was released, and it's going to be due on December 2nd. In order for it to kind of, for the township to submit that grant, you will need a resolution, and that resolution will need to be adopted when the grant is prepared. So the grant application needs to be prepared. You need to understand what you want to do and what you want to, what components you want to go after. And once you do that, and once the grant application is ready, the township board will need to adopt a resolution accepting that grant and also agreeing to the terms in the grant agreement. I would assume that would happen sometime late November, right before the submittal, if the township decides they want to go after that grant. If for any reason the township decides they want to pursue the grant later on, again, there's $450 million. There's a lot of gauged interest in the grant, but if there's still money, we can pursue this at any other quarter after December. The likelihood of funding is not guaranteed either way, but we do know that there's a lot of interest in the SAW grant at this point. If anyone has any questions, I think Brian just circulated a proposal. We have our work as envisioned, and also it has a quick background on what the SAW grant is and what can be done with it. If anyone has questions, I'm more than happy to answer.
Dean, I appreciate it. I'm sure that once the board members look at this over, they'll have some questions for you. And, anybody?
The thing that really kind of questions me the most is a lot of the questions really hinge upon the fact that does Northville have capacity to handle it. And I would say that before we proceed with making and going through a lot of motions and work on your part, which will be consulting fees, is that we have a commitment from Northville before we proceed. Because I think that is the Achilles heel spot. But I also would like to make known that getting this grant and doing that doesn't take away our obligation to pay off the bond that is out there. That bond will have to be paid for, and we're still a little over, somewhere right around $600,000 is left to be paid on that bond. We'll have to be paid off before 2018. That's when the bond is to be paid off. So I think there's a lot of things that we really need to go back in there, and we really need to take and do a whole complete study to look at to find out exactly how much money are we going to be offsetting of shutting this plant down for the pluses that we would have to our budget, but taking away what is it going to cost us there. We really need to do a complete financial analysis of really doing this hookup, because it isn't all gravy. I think there's a lot of things that we need to consider. And I would propose that if we're going to do that, I think we should start immediately. I'm in favor of starting immediately and getting this thing going, because the longer we wait, the worse things are going to get for us. And I think if we're going to do it, I would propose on getting this thing done before the December 2nd date. Because if we're going to get serious about it, let's get serious about it.
And just to clarify, we would be going after two components. The first component is the asset management.
Yeah.
That would have nothing to do with Northville, it has nothing to do with that connection. And the second component, which kind of would be secondary to the entire process, would be the connection to Northville. So if the township decides, going after one or both, or even neither, that would be the process that we would be approaching. Is your needs are going to be identified or addressed through the asset management program, by the end results being a rate study, which hopefully would address what gaps you have in the actual budget, the design, and everything that's related to Northville. If you see in our proposal, we say should capacity be available. So just because of the time frame and the limitation on December 2nd, we thought that those two approaches would be taken simultaneously.
I totally agree, but I think the asset management has to be, I'm in favor of having it start immediately. Because quite frankly, we're all sitting around here scratching our head, well, they get reporting of this. But I can remember, 6 months ago when we took office, we had a grinder pump go down that had a sum total of about, $4,000? And we're scratching our head, where are we gonna get $4,000? We don't have anything in our budget for repair.
That's interesting.
And where I'm really coming from is that this whole sewer account is a big deal. Just maybe to clarify to the people here, we bring in, on average, these are rough numbers, they don't quote me. We bring in a little over $170,000 a year, and our expenditures are over $230,000 a year. And the township is on the hook for bringing up the rest of that. It's either that or going back and jacking everybody's rate up 30%. 33%. And quite frankly, we need help. We need to have this, we need to get our hands around this, and it should be sooner than later.
Okay, anyone else?
Dima, how soon would we know from Northville their capacity?
That is a question to Mr. Supervisor, I guess.
Yeah, I'm waiting for Supervisor Nix to get back. The township engineer had called today, and I missed his call, but anyway, so they've been working. I would say it's probably been the last month and a half or so they've been figuring out what is the best. And I think the landfill, not to put the burden on the landfill, but I think we should bend on them to help us out if it makes sense to tie into their system over there. All right, anyone else? All right, so thanks. Appreciate
Thank you.
it. Fran, thanks
Thank you.
for being here. It's been a pleasure working with you folks so far. Okay, moving on down to the assessor job description contract. I move that Salem Township Board of Trustees approve the personal service contract for the township assessor, William Guthrie, in addition to approve the job description for the township assessor. And a second?
I'll second.
Any questions? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion's passed. Okay, Mr. Commerce.
I move that Salem Township approve the attached contract with American Towers LLC for the leased property on the I got the wrong one here. Wastewater treatment plant. It's the cell phone tower by the wastewater treatment. And just to explain a little bit before I ask for a second on this one, I have been contacted by American Towers right after taking office that they wanted to extend the lease from whatever it was, 25, 30 years to another 30 years onto that lease, so that they could entice other carriers. Right now, the only carrier on that cell phone tower is AT&T. And being that I I'm a carrier that doesn't have an antenna on there, and I get calls around here a lot. The first thing I wanted to do was to go back and say if we can't improve the cell phone reception here in the township. So I was all ears, only to come to find out, in uncovering this, that American Tower has been paying us $500 a month extra, 1 month, since 1 month after taking over the contract. So we, in essence, owed them $17,000 overpayment. And by working this contract out, we were able then to take this overpayment and spread this out over a signing bonus, which would be a $5,000 signing bonus, plus taking it $500 a month off of our lease payment for the next, whatever it is, to pay up to the other $10,000. So that's kind of the reason behind this. And I will go into further detail after motion is moved on. Call for a second.
Okay, we have a second.
I'll say.
Mr. Winsley, any other discussion? Okay, all those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Now, as a follow-up to that, I'd just like to take a few minutes just to inform people. After a lot of negotiations with, we had another company come back in that wanted to sublease our lease to go on this cell phone tower, and I did a lot of research with them, then went back to American Towers and all that stuff. And quite frankly, a lot of this contract was for their financial benefits. And what determines the carriers when they come back in and say, we need a tower here, one of the big things that they go back and evaluate is how many people have dropped calls, poor data reception, and the like. And the more people complain, the more you'll be able to get their attention. And it is only their digital engineers that make the determination whether they put up a antenna or not. And if I went back and looked in the map, AT&T is about the only one here. I think the Hamiltons have a Verizon out there on their area, but from there back into Beck Road, there is basically no Verizon, Sprint, and a lot of the other carriers. And in talking with Bob Steinweg, I said, well, what is the best thing? And I said, well, what if I was to motivate a grassroots of where people could go back in and start contacting their carriers and listing, telling them how many drop calls you have, what kind of reception you have. When I called Verizon, and I'll use them, I had very poor reception. I was able to get a range extender, and they'd give it to me free for nothing, and that's not a free thing, because we have poor reception. And that's the kind of thing, if we had everybody start calling their carriers and complaining, and not just once, over and over and over again, we may be able to have somebody start doing, I will putting a note in the next, there'll be a newsletter coming out probably either today or tomorrow. I didn't get that one, but in the next newsletter, I'm gonna come back in there and have everybody go back in and start a call-in campaign to your carriers, because I think that's the only way we're gonna have to get some attention in this community where we can get decent cell phone coverage.
Okay, Mr. Treasurer? What's the best coverage in the Hamlet here? AT&T?
Verizon.
Verizon? Verizon is absolutely terrible here in the
I
township
can't,
hall.
I dropped it in my office.
Terrible here.
There's a tower on 8 Mile and Chip Road.
That's too far away.
Supposed to be a 5-mile radius.
I have Sprint, it drops all the time.
I have AT&T and my calls never drop.
Right.
Yeah, because you got cap-
When I come in from work and I come 6 miles, it drops.
All right, well, let's move on down to the financials. And I'd like to make a motion to approve legal counsel to begin drafting the purchase agreement. I move that the purchase agreement for the 4 Tracks property is recommended by the Land Preservation and Conservation Board. Salem Township Board of Trustees will review the draft copy of the purchase agreement at the next board meeting. Do I have a second on that?
I'll second.
We have a second. Any discussion on this? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion's passed. And then the last item on that, I also move that Salem Township approve an environmental assessment study on 4 Tracks property as recommended by the Land Preservation and Conservation Board at a cost no greater than $15,000. Do I have a second on that?
I'll second.
John Daniel? Any questions on this?
Yeah, what exactly is involved in, what are they
There's
gonna
a
tell
first
us?
environmental study done on the property that needs to go forward. The quotes that have come in, honestly, I don't know, Sue, you're here tonight, you can say about the cost of it. I don't know where the 15,000 came in, but I've seen the quotes that have come in for roughly $2,000,
Yeah.
$3,000. I know there's a first assessment that's done. I think they
It's called
state
phase one.
phase
Phase-
one.
A phase one study.
Right, once, I mean, if that comes out pretty clear, I mean, we just, if the township does decide to purchase this property, we definitely want to make sure that the environmental studies have been done and that the ground is clear and that it's,
And there may be a need for a phase 2.
Phase 2, right?
Do you want me to explain something?
Yeah.
So phase one, you go back and you do historical records. You look at Sanborn maps that may date back to the 1800s. You see if there was things like gas stations or any dry cleaners, brown spaces, anything that was in there could contaminate the property. If some of the records or fire records show that there were some problems, they may go out there and actually physically walk the property. And then if you find evidence of some concern, then you move to what's called a phase 2, where you actually pull samples and you do some analysis. It all depends on what the records research shows or doesn't show as to whether you need to move on to a phase 2. Phase 3 would be actual cleanup, but we're pretty non-industrial out here, so again, phase 1's more of a paperwork and kind of a survey of the land and making sure that there's no overt environmental issue that's going to come up and get you, so that when you purchase the property, you have some assurances. The bank and the purchaser has some assurances that there's no catches later on down the road.
okay. Any other questions on this? We have a second? Any other questions? Okay, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion is passed. Okay, so we deleted the zoning ordinances, and we have the clerk's revenue report, and now we move down to the fire department. Chief?
Thank you, sir. Just a couple things. National Fire Protection Week, or National Fire Protection Month, however you want to consider it. It's a time to consider changing your batteries in your smoke detectors and making sure that you actually have smoke detectors. Also, I recommend that you take a look at your fire extinguisher, especially if you have portable ones. We just had a fire the other day out in Northfield Crossings. Small trucks arrived, it's fairly quick with the engine and was able to contain it within the kitchen. So speed makes a difference getting to the scene and abating the fires as quickly as you can to keep it small. Our calls for last month are still up in our numbers. We historically average about 1 call a day in past years. And again, this month we're up 6 calls to 36 calls this month. Most of them, again, are medicals in the neighborhood of 65% or 64% of the calls were medical. 19% were related to vehicles, vehicle accidents, vehicle fires, etc., and the rest were just kind of other different areas. Our response time remains good, or excellent, at about 6.5 minutes. So that's really good, and I'd like to keep pushing to get that, keep that or better. I also have presented to the board a draft letter from the union for clarification to union rules. It's only for you guys to look at this month. Next month, I'd like to have your approval on it, but at this time, I'd just like you guys to take a look at it so you have an opportunity to review it. If you have any questions, feel free to give me a call. It's a clarification within the union rules that would help with an agreement between the township and the union as far as payroll. So it's a draft copy there. Please take a look at it. If you have any questions, feel free to catch with me. I also wanted to re-enumerate with the supervisor on the Halloween fest. It's all for the kids, and I'm encouraged to see that we can join forces and make it a community event, and hopefully make it a good thing where all of Salem can show up, just not the kids that go to the school. So we wholeheartedly support that. It's a great way for the kids to have some fun, and the school does a bunch of good stuff. So if we have kids or grandkids or just a big kid at heart, come volunteer or help out or bring them with their costume.
Thanks, Chief.
Though the school last year, a couple hundred, would you say? It's a pretty big turnout.
This year will be a lot bigger because our enrollment is up because of the redistricting. So we're looking.
This is Michelle McCara here, who's heads up a lot of that. She lives in the hamlet, her husband and children, and we appreciate your involvement over there. So if those of you that would like to volunteer, she's here tonight, and I'm sure she'd be glad to talk to you.
Yeah, we have about a 600 we expect about 600 people. That was at our beginning of the year ice cream social. We had about 600 people.
Did you really?
That's great.
Ask Michelle?
Yes.
If you would email me stuff that I can put on the website,
Sure.
that would be great.
Yeah, sure will.
What date is that?
It's October the 25th.
Friday. 6 to 8. Yep.
Okay, thanks, Chief. So we're down to board discussion. We have the USD sewer and water service. I'd like to bring the public and the board up to date what has been going on there. This kind of goes back probably about to, I would say, wintertime. Richard Ream of Plymouth Township Supervisor. We've had some discussions with him back in the wintertime about being able to have the capacity to supply sewer and water to the USD area, which was kind of a surprise to me to hear about that with all the work and the money that has been spent looking at trying to, coming from Yucca, from coming up through Superior Township to service that area. It's not a sure thing. We had a meeting there last week, and the engineers have said that it's very possible, very capable of supplying just that area, all four corners, as development comes to that area. A lot of it is, everybody's just trying to understand how it's going to work. We are encouraged by it, to feel that, all I know is that I was kind of afraid that very soon that the township would be faced with, if the Yucca came through, I believe they were talking maybe like $11 million, something that the township would have to commit as far as the bonding and the funding for that area. Of course, we would look for the developer to foot the bill, but as we know, in some areas, sometimes things have happened. It was a lot was coming down quick, and to see that the possibility right across Napier Road to hook into their lines to service just that area, to do just the capacity to handle that is just would be a great opportunity, I believe, for Plymouth Township and Salem Township. So we're just waiting now to see if Plymouth Township can actually I gotta make sure I word it right, that it's not, they can't sell it to Salem Township, but they can expand their system into our area to service the, all four corners. So it's progress, and I think it's something that, I mean, it's kind of I'm just simple, I don't understand all the engineering, but it seems to me like, the developers tap into it, they can do their areas, and then when the next, west of that, when then developers come, they tap into it, they pay for it. Plymouth has their own water department, they do the billing, it leaves Salem Township actually kind of out of it. They just service that area. The contract, the capacity is only for that area, and it's committed to that area, and that's the extent of it, so that it doesn't spread west. So we just wanted to bring it up if there's questions, or we'd love to tell you what I know. I know Mr. Plato knows some of it too. We had a great meeting over there. I know there was ups and downs. We didn't think that it could happen, and then it does happen. And but it's very positive looking right now. So I think it'd be a great thing. Any questions about it? I don't know that I can answer them, but I sure can try. If not, I can get back to you.
Both sides of M14, are you
Yes.
talking about being tapped in?
Yes.
Through to Godfredson?
Yes.
Okay, not the residences that are in the middle or on the side? So it's just the USD property?
Anything else?
I have a question about that, thinking about the residential areas that are up and coming though, right next to the USD. There are some areas slated for residential. Would they be part of this sewer system?
Yes,
I would assume so.
they're part of the USD.
Okay, thanks.
Here, question. What Brian and Demo were talking about a half an hour ago, that's a different, they're talking Northville Township.
Right.
Where does, is that where?
Yeah.
Northville Township, the Northville water, where does that end at? If the if the Plymouth Township's at Napier, where's the Northville system at? Do you
The
know?
Northville system is just the other side of Napier Road, which the landfill owns, which is in Wayne County. So that's where, if by chance, if they have the capacity, they've talked about maybe there's a possibility. We, if it made sense for us to get our little sewer system here hooked up into that, they would, that's the Northville Township.
Okay, so the Northville Township has Napier and 5 Mile. The Plymouth Township has Napier and North Territorial. Okay.
And I might add that when Dima and Brian were presenting with the SAW grant, the SAW grant is for existing sewer systems only. And the USD is new and therefore ineligible to participate in the SAW grant.
Back to the Plymouth Township, one thing I want to make clear to residents and publicly is, one thing that disturbed me most about what has gone on in the past, in 2 arbitrations the township has gone through. One thing I feel that we really lost in arbitration was the water to service that area. I don't know if most of you know, but the developer was allowed to put in wells in that area to service that. It's very concerning to me, again, as a resident living in this town, that a time comes when the aquifer in that area, whatever, once, everybody's using wells, the next developer comes in, he says, well, you give it to the one, you have to give it to the other, you got all kinds of things going on. It's not a good thing. So, that's what they were awarded because of the litigations and the stuff that this township has spent thousands of dollars, and that's one thing that we lost. in the arbitration that's happened, which to me was devastating for our township. So this is one way where the developer is agreeing and saying that it's gonna give us the Detroit water and the sewer and the urban services district. So I think if this happens, this is a blessing for our township that this happens. So we're just waiting to see. So we just wanted to give,
Gary, how many hookups are they talking about?
well, we really don't know depending what development comes.
Is there a limit, is what I'm asking?
There's a limit to that area. There's a capacity, is it like they use it in two, there's like, they use the 2 decimal or whatever for the capacity that they have to service that area. I think they might have the capacity of 3. Is that what they
Water
were?
or sewer?
What's that?
Are you talking about the water or sewer?
For sewer.
Sewer, well, the sewer they have the capacity, the USD would require 1 MGD, and they have the capacity to service the entire USD, and our contract would be designed so that the sewer would not extend beyond the urban service district.
All right. Any other questions about it? Anything from the audience we can help answer? Well, we certainly, like I said, whatever's coming down the pipeline, developers or whatever over there, first thing we want to do is keep everybody informed. We want the people, especially that's living in that area, to be fully aware of what's going on, what's proposed, and to move forward. All right, if there's no other questions about that, we're down to public comment. Before we get into public comment, I might do something a little bit different here tonight, because there's people, I want to thank all those new people who've been here tonight. I know we've been talking, and we welcome everybody here to these meetings and appreciate your support and of the township. But maybe after public comment or adjournment, I would like to talk about the property. Just a few things. If there's people here with comments, or you could do it public comment, we can talk about if there's people here that like to voice their opinion about the properties that the township is inquiring about buying. All right, so let's open to public comment. Pat.
How can you do any work on that property without a bona fide purchase agreement with a contingency?
What are you talking about? You're talking about the 4 tracks?
Yes.
We have an option to buy.
You have an
Yes,
option
we
to
do.
buy? Okay, so nobody can come in right behind you, we've paid for the work, and they buy it?
Correct.
It's preserved?
We have
Okay.
90 days.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, Jen?
I can stand here and talk.
Okay.
Unless you want me to. I support the purchase of the 4 Tracks property for the following reasons. It's efficient. Purchasing real estate in a down market is a very wise investment decision. It's effective on many levels. It allows the township the authority to police an area where they previously have not had authority to go onto the property. It has an existing revenue stream, leasing the agricultural part of it. Keeping it open lessens the demand for further public services and public utilities, and this infrastructure generally will lead to millages, which we currently don't enjoy and don't want to enjoy. And it's emotional. For 19 years, the 19 years that I've owned property in this township, whichever way the public has been asked to comment, they've always said we want to preserve our agricultural and rural character. And this keeping open space gives people a visual view of hope. It makes people feel free. So In the 40 years that I've worked with land issues, there has never been one of them where the decision was made more than 50% based on logic. It was made more than 50% based on the heart. It's also ethical. It's the right thing to do. To those who question, what are you going to do with the property? Baby steps. Acquire it, investigate it, plan for it, implement, enjoy. We can all dream what we want, but until we own or control an asset, particularly land, because people are so emotionally invested in land, we can't make those dreams come true. I do encourage whatever improvements or value is added to this property, that it be driven by that cry for preserving our rural character. So I am in favor of passive uses, nature trails, etc. But that doesn't mean that at some time, 20 or 30 years from now, the township, the people at large, are going to want something else there. One of the things in being a conservationist is I realize that change occurs. So I never allow people to call me an environmentalist. I never want to just preserve, freeze frame a moment. I wake up every morning and thank my neighbors for not cutting down the trees. They have the right to cut down those trees. I know that someday they may cut down those trees, but I know that I can't stop that change from happening. All I can do is educate and promote the positives of not cutting down those trees. I've worked on the Johnson Creek for 15 years, so I have a lot of contacts that I'd be willing to share with the township if they do acquire this property about what's already there, about the threatened species, about the birds, about the 20 years that the Rouge River project has been investigating, the macroinvertebrates, the frogs and toads, etc. I also have contacts because I was involved with going to the meetings at Judge Feigen's office, his courtroom, for about 11 years, U.S. versus the City of Detroit et al. So some of this information that I'm hearing about these taps being available from Plymouth, Northville, and Yucca are in conflict with what I've heard in these meetings, and I'll be more than happy to share my information with you there. So there's been a lot of work that the Rouge has done. Eventually, this water, whether it comes through the sewer or comes as drinking water, comes from the rivers, comes from the streams. It doesn't just pop. You know, it isn't. It's like you go to the grocery store, you buy a pound of beef. That came from a cow. It didn't just magically appear there in a plastic package. So I'd be willing to share that information and help with the contacts I had with the Drain Commissioner's office. Because I know at one time, Janice Bodwin was very interested in doing remediation on that stream. There's another revenue source for some improvements that may also improve the natural boundaries of the Johnson Creek. And I know that the current Drain Commissioner is her protege, so I can help there as well. Thanks.
Thanks, Jane.
Thank you.
But
What is on this land? I mean, what is it? Is it farmland, woods, swamp?
Yes.
Nobody really knows what it is. I mean, how many acres is swamp, and is there a breakdown so the public can see?
yeah, it's we have a picture of it right up here. You can be more than welcome to see. It's got everything.
Another question, is there an organization in Salem Township, there used to be years ago, 'cause I've been here since '62, beautifying the Salem roads. They used to have an organization here in Salem where they would designate every year a certain area of a country road, and volunteers would go in there and clean the crap out of the ditches and pull out the dead logs just to beautify it. And it went away. I don't know.
We do have cleanup day, but
Well, that's for everybody to bring their junk in here. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about
we used to clean up.
to go out there and just get your hands dirty.
We'll put you ahead of that committee.
There you go.
I am for it, because,
You gotta volunteer, Gary, put them to work.
thank you. No problem, I'll talk to you later on this one.
We always like volunteers.
No problem.
All right, anybody else? Sure. Good.
Yes, I would like to know if you told us a while, in the last meeting or two, that you were going to get more public involved in the decision for this Fortran. Did you, is it in the, messenger that's going out? Is there a post, they were talking about a postcard that was going out, is there anything being done like that?
Yes, it's in the next newsletter. We did some investigating about a postcard. You know, some people have said that, you know, I don't want to do, again, this is board discussion that we've had about either doing a postcard, having a town hall meeting or whatever. You know, I gave my opinion on it. Doesn't mean that we can't have a town hall meeting, but it's very, you know, annoying, I should say, where people, whatever you might say, make a comment on something, and it's just, that's not true. Whatever we need to do to make sure that the public are aware of what is going on with this, we want to do. And so
Things I heard you say, and I didn't hear, I already heard you say you already have an option to buy it, so I thought you were already moving ahead.
no, what's an option to buy to do the environmental studies that needs to be done, and then we need to make a decision. Doesn't mean we need to make a decision to buy it.
From what I understood, you already made your decision.
We haven't.
My decision, or
Yeah.
my opinion, is I don't think the township should own property because you people are here for at least 3 more years, and you could be here for another term or 2. But after that, we don't know who we get, and we don't know who would take care of the property, or would they turn it into a windmill factory?
Right.
So,
Right.
the township should, I don't believe in any shape or form the township should own the property.
It's the first time me and Bonnie ever
Right.
agreed.
Yeah,
Thank
me
you.
too.
Amen.
That's your grandfather, yeah.
Anybody else? If I can make it, it's public comment, I don't want to take up the time, but you know, and the case in point about whatever the board decides to do as far as how to purchase this, if it's a decision to purchase it, just want to make it clear, it's either using some agencies where you sell the development rights off and receive some monies for it, or the township outright buy it. You know, that's the decision that needs to be made. But whatever we do, the idea behind it is to preserve it.
For this board.
And if it means, I have talked to legal counsel about it, let's say that the board does decide to outright purchase it, then there could be a draft, an ordinance, or whatever that can be put into effect, say 25 years. You know, the township is going to preserve this and use it for public use, and then down the road, if they choose to do something different, that's up to the residents, and have the residents say what they want to do, and not a board.
And then why don't you put it up for vote?
Well, yeah,
Gary, if
Right?
townships
Put it up for vote.
for the near future that we can look into, if the township was to purchase the property, they don't look to do any development. If you decide not to buy it, and it goes for sale, and somebody buys it, a big outfit, and they bring in their team of lawyers, they'll put the windmill factory up tomorrow.
well, again, you know, it's like I've stated, you know, everybody has their opinion, and, you know, we need to learn to respect each other's opinion. But as I say, what everybody keeps telling everybody is they do the surveys, and they've done these surveys in the town, and everybody says, we want the rural character in the town to stay. We need to put the money where your mouth is, because it's very important that if we want to preserve something like this, where, you know, you're talking 150 homes on 1 acre lots, okay? So you want to see that? You want,
No.
in Salem Township, it's one of the few areas, again, that is 1 acre lots, and that's what that's gonna look like over there. And if that's what, that's what it's gonna look like. And there are people who want to buy it to do that. And it is sand and gravel, and it's very capable of doing it. So, or do we look at it and preserve it? And, and again, whatever, again, it's about public use. I don't want to have anybody walk away thinking that this is, just something to, as an investment. You have to look at this as an asset to the township, that down the road, if it's decided that, 20 years from now or 30 years, landfill closes, the township gets sued, it's a great asset for the township to have. It's a piece of ground that is very developable. It can be, it would be worth a lot of
But
money.
Gary, you don't want to develop it, remember?
I don't, but I'm saying
You
if there
just said
was,
20 years ago, or now you want to develop it
no,
maybe.
I'm saying,
Somebody else.
I'm not saying that. I'm saying that if the township ever got into a bind, like Novi, the city of Novi did, they had a piece of land, they were sued for $30 million because of the township dragging their feet, or, I don't remember the whole case, but we could go into that, but that's just another story. But again, they had that piece of property that was worth a lot of money, and it saved them. Otherwise, it would have been on the back of the taxpayers that live in Novi. So it is, whether we look at it, it is still a great asset for the township. And it's about, people say, well, you're just spending money, Well, the bottom line is you're just taking money from the bank and you're preserving it, you're putting it into a piece of land that is an asset and will grow. Actually grow more than the money sitting in the bank. That's just my opinion, but.
Gary, I think it probably eases a lot of our minds if you can implement a clause in the purchase agreement so everybody can see that this property will not be developed or sold to a developer in, say, 20, 25 years.
Right, that's kind of what.
And have clauses in there, not 1 acre parcels, maybe a 5 acre parcel. Can't you? So change it. Is this Salem Township?
But you're right, you're exactly right. The problem is that you could, if the township decided, like I said, you're down the road to have 5 acre lots, 10 acre lots or whatever, instead of 1 acre.
I think Janet hit it right on the money, because the fact is that we can go back in and do the studies, we can go back in and do it. And we were just at a meeting the other night, and someone came back to me, in fact, in your comments, do you feel safe on going out and walking on these roads?
No.
Does anybody?
No.
I don't.
Carry it back.
And so where do we go to go out for a leisure stroll? Where can we go in this township?
You've got 35 acres on Tower Road, or Curtis Road you can walk on. Have you ever been out there walking?
Sure.
Well, then don't worry about this. You should be walking out there.
Okay,
I've been on that
let's have
property
one
too.
at a time now, okay, Sandy?
I see on 9/24, there was a check made out to 4Tracks for $10,000. Is that the start of our 90 days?
Yeah, that's the purchase.
So we have till 12/24.
Right,
Do we lose the $10,000 at 12/24 if we have not bought the property?
right,
So we have a couple of board meetings before that.
right.
Unless it's environmentally not usable for us,
Yeah,
then you would
Right.
not lose your deposit.
Yeah, correct.
You want to be in the bird watching team?
Yes, done.
Yeah,
You can join John.
and I guess what I'd like to say is I'm very much in favor of the board doing something productive with the excess revenue generated by the landfill. Because the landfill's the nuisance with all the truck traffic and stuff, and so if you take some of the proceeds, which is what's generating this $8 million surplus that we have, and invest it in a space that we're going to use to preserve our rural character and allow the residents access to it, I think you're doing the job we want you to do. And I'm in favor of it.
Thanks, Doug. All right, anyone else?
Speak up for
John, you ain't said a word the last 10 meetings.
No, I would like to echo where I really stand personally, because I welcome the negative comments, but I want reasons. Just because you say I don't want to, I want to hear why you don't want to, because what we need to do is we need to listen to those, and do they have validity? How do we enter that into our decision? We all are up here are fairly passionate about this, I can kind of generally say that. But the fact of it is, if we know that there's some issues out there that we may not be aware of, I welcome. And I would like to hear the negative. But when I come back and say, I hear the negative, I'm saying I want to hear the no's. Well, what I really want to hear is I want to hear why, not just I don't want, I just don't like it. That's what I want to hear.
Dale, we got property in the township already that's never been touched.
I agree.
I appreciate it.
know.
I think you ought to go for a walk tomorrow on Curtis Road,
Yeah, but it's just 35
Enjoy that.
acres.
you know?
That's just 35.
It's still long enough to get a little walk. When you're through, we can come to your house for some cider.
Well, you're welcome to. I'll buy it for you. But the township really doesn't have, a lot of space, that some people have said. I mean, when they look at the figures that the acreage that the township owns, they're including the landfill, which is not a place I would really want to walk. But I'm just saying, that's when some people say the township has a lot of money or a lot of property, they're using that as part of the land, which is.
Why are you against it?
All right, anything else?
Real estate business.
I know, but it's for the.
All right, then I guess there's plenty of refreshments. We're adjourned, and appreciate everybody's attention tonight. Thanks for coming.
But I would rather see it as a park than to see a bunch of houses in there.
If you live, you're gonna buy it,